Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day one of the Stage 5 Major. There you see it, the wonderful shots of Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. A good, maybe 25, 30-minute drive away from me. And you have the opportunity to be there if you'd like in a few days. We hope to see you there. Alrighty, folks, it is time as we will have our next series underway. It is the New York Subliners taking on the LA Guerrillas again. It is an elimination game. Loser goes home. NYSL, you have champs to look forward to. LAG, you do not. So all things considered, what study? We got a big one on our hands, man. This is a big series for both of these teams. Obviously, as we mentioned it, LAG, this is kind of their champs. And for the Subliners, now your first major, as we talked about, Clayster no longer in the lineup. You're looking at what, a few guys. Diamondcon, we weren't even sure if he was going to be here on land, but he's here. He's ready to go. A big series for Subliners in regards to their confidence.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy series between both of these teams. Obviously, LAG, this is their last hoorah. This is their last tournament that they can try to perform here. And they're going up against an NYSL team who just recently lost their leader in Clayster. Yeah. It's not going to be an easy task to do because the game plan has to be totally different. You have no idea what you're going to expect out of this new NYSL team because they're basically a pickup squad. You only have like basically a week and a half worth of practice. So this is going to be an intense matchup between both of these teams, and I'm excited to see whoever walks away with it.
Yeah, and it's definitely a little bit odd when we take a look at the stage. You look at those four Subliner players and you just don't see Clayster. Definitely a little bit strange. But I believe we actually have Jess, who moments ago was able to catch up with the coach from the New York Subliners. It's Revan. Take it away, Jess.
Thanks so much, Lando. So, Revan, it feels like I say this every time I speak to you. Your guys have faced so much adversity, and now you're having to deal with this mid-stage switcheroo to swap in Diamond for Clay. What's that transition been like?
Well, for those of you who have been following us throughout the season, Diamond actually played with us through the first two stages, and we found success with him earlier in the year. And then Paco wound up coming in from France, and he was the one to ultimately get swapped out. So it's good to bring Connor back in. I was the one who originally scouted him back when the CDL did their scouting grounds, and he's been performing well in the amateur scene. So once again, it's not like we don't have a slouch fill-in for us. You know, Connor's a capable player, and we're trying all we can to, you know, perform the best we can.
Yeah, and we, the viewers, have seen what he can do, so definitely have high hopes for to see him out there. And first up here in the major, you are going to be facing the Los Angeles Guerrillas. I know that your team has had a couple of struggles this stage, and so have the Guerrillas. But overall, where's your mindset kind of going into this match?
You know, I'm feeling good. One thing that I've been telling my guys going into this weekend is not only can anything happen on land, but for a new team like us, all the experience that we're going to get better match by match. So if we could go on a 2-win streak, I told him, then we can make a run. But it starts with these first two matches. There's no such thing as a free win in the CDL. All teams are competitive. These guys, they beat Atlanta FaZe, back a couple stages ago. So it's not going to be a free win. They're not just going to stand there and let us roll over them. So I'm expecting them to put up a fight, and I'm expecting a close series here.
I'm excited to see what happens. It only takes 2 wins to put together a streak, so I look forward to seeing that. Lando, back on over to you.
Thank you so much, Jess. Yeah, it's great to check in with Revan, see how the Subliners are doing, how that camp sits right now. And I think it's great what Revan said there, Stud. He mentioned the fact that, it only takes, just a matter of wins to kind of get a streak going. This team is looking for some early success to kind of generate that. But as you mentioned as well, there are no free wins. When we talk about the CDL, we talk about a number of different rosters that can dominate at times once we head to LAN, and this group of 4 definitely has LAN experience. Even with the new addition, he's been on LAN a few times before. But folks, let's go ahead and meet our first team in regard to this matchup. It is your LA Guerrillas.
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike, I go hard day and night.
And there you have it, your Los Angeles Guerrillas entering into the stage for the first time here in Stage 5. And so, while it has been a a rough stage for this group, we talk about 0-5. It cannot be understated, right? 3/4 of these guys have won a world championship with each other back in World War II. And on the topic of twos, they have a 22-time Gears of War champion who also joins the fray as well. So we talk about nerves. This is a team that is not going to have these whatsoever.
Absolutely not, man. You have 3 world champions, like you said. Mental coming from Gears of War, multiple-time champion over there. So they have the experience. It's just all about putting it together. So far throughout Stage 5, they have yet to win a match. They were barely winning hard points, barely winning controls, barely winning search and destroys. I feel like this team is on the downwards, but now they're on land, and they're going up against a broken team in NYSL. So this can be the opening for this LAG roster. This is win-or-go-home situation. Basically, they're champs of this entire year so far. Try to end the year on a high note is going to be LAG, and I'm excited to see them play today.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's fair to say there's a lot of people coming into this that have already kind of started off to write off the Guerrillas, and we know just when you start to do that, that is when a team can really start to surprise you. But as you labeled it, as what we heard Coach Revan talk about it as well, it has been a year of adversity for this team. They've dealt with a number of different changes, different things out of their control, and now they're going to have to do it again. From Stage 4 having roster changes, now to Stage 5 Major having changes as well. Let's go ahead and meet the group. It is the New York Subliners.
Mack with first blood. He just jumps on in. A flurry of kills through. Mack, though. Mack gets 3. What a second half of the hard point he had. Nails all 4. The 8 for Big Mack. Upward timing. He gets flushed out. But Asim and Mack, that crossfire so good. Asim, all 4, give it to him. Takes down the entire side of FaZe.
This is just an efficient work right now. As HyDra, he has the entire team straight in front of him, gets a couple shots. Now look how much he just slows them down.
Can he get the defuse player? He does. 23 seconds left on the clock. One more to deal with for Clay. This would be massive.
And there they are, your New York Subliners as well, entering into the stage. As we said, a roster change coming forth. Not having Clay for this event, as it will be Diamondcon. Farthest player pushed off to the left for this group. You got the coaches in the middle, good old JP and Revan. Love to see the thumbs up. But Stud, I mean, I gotta ask you, how do you feel about this team coming into the major? We talked about this group, not a great stage for them. Obviously dealing with some roster changes, of course. And they are also off of a very tough performance versus the Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, it's a little difficult when you're talking about NYSL nowadays, man, because the whole Clayster situation, you lose your leader and the results are starting to go down.
Yeah.
They were the only team all year long who were able to take FaZe down twice out of every single team that we have in the CDL. And that's a crazy stat because that means that Clayster, he's such a big part of this roster. Not having him here is going to be such an impactful loss that they're going to have to try to make up with it with just straight gameplay. And with all 4 of these players, you know, having a couple rookies, Diamondcon going to be his first time on the main stage. I'm looking at a player like Asim to really rally up and, I mean, just keep the troops in line right there. But let's just hop right into our keys to victory for New York. Need a strong bounce back match after that loss versus FaZe. No player was over a 0.75 KD, and they got outslayed by 70. Obviously, when you're going up against the best team in the game, it's going to be really difficult. But without Clayster, you can tell that is a drastic change right there for that team. And then also, continue to dominate Guerrillas in the respawn. 6-0 in hardpoint and 3-0 controls. They have won every single series versus versus LAG in a 3-1 fashion. And they've done it every single time through the respawns. They have to make sure that they keep that intact if they want to be able to take down LAG today.
Yeah. As you said, they've won every respawn, they've lost every search and destroys. That just kind of goes to show you how this matchup has gone every single time so far. But now our game fuel keys to victory here for the LA Guerrillas. Hardpoint. 1-18 in their last 19. This mode has shot them down in the standings. There's no surprise. It has to be a focus into the hardpoints. Also, all players on team right now are under a 1.0 KD so far throughout this stage. They have got to turn things around in that slaying department. And then also, as you mentioned, the new guy on the block, Mental, he struggled so far. I mean, it's been what, I think around a 0.69, 0.7 KD so far throughout this group. But at the same side, I feel like, you know, when we talk about rookies, they are a product of their environment. As we said, this was a team that was already struggling before he got there. You're talking about a rookie who's trying to turn things around himself, also kind of figure out his game, now being brought into this roster as well. Looking to see how Mental can start to change things up today. But now take a look at our maps and modes. What we've got, Garrison Hardpoint to start, Moscow Search and Destroy, Checkmate Control in the middle, APOC Hardpoint for Game 4, and a Standoff S&D if it does in fact go the distance. And how do you feel about the maps and modes, Stun? Anything stick out to you?
The only one that really scares me is that map 3 control for Checkmate, because New York, they're sitting at 5 and 7, but on the opposite side for LAG, they're 1 and 5 on that map. They don't really enjoy to play it too much. I would have liked to see them play, you know, some raid. Obviously, New York, you're going to take that up because that's LAG's best map, but at least a Garrison in there, because that's where LAG, they tend to see a lot of success on. When they have their SMGs in close range engagements, I'm looking at Mental and aBeZy to really step up early into the series, because we know like a map like Garrison, your submachine guns can really take off, and if they are able to finesse, pick up their one-on-one engagements, and also Mental stepping up from that 0.69, I feel like this is going to be a great map number 1 for both of these teams.
Yeah, really flip-flopped in regards to the numbers. You see 10-5 for NYSL, 5 and 10 for LAG on this very map. Garrison Hardpoint, and as we mentioned, man, I mean, this has been... I mean, lately, as we mentioned, for hardpoints, it's not been great for New York. But again, if you're LAG, it's been so much worse. I mean, they are without a doubt the worst hardpoint team right now in the CDL. We'll see how things begin to translate from online to LAN. But, I mean, how great of a confidence booster this could be if you are the Guerrillas. Again, you've not been able to win a hardpoint from what feels like in such a long time. You've not been able to win 2 in a row for what feels like 3 months now. But a victory here, that could shock the Subliners. That very well could set them up for success now being in a different environment.
Yeah, it definitely can, man, but it starts with the entire team, because every single player on the side of LAG, no one is over a 1.0 KD throughout all of Stage 5. So they need to step up in the slaying department if they want to stand any chance here in this map number 1. And right now, at least off the beginning break, LAG doing a great job out on this P1 hardpoint, getting this hill uncontested, as New York still have the spawns. LAG have the map control to try to flip these spawns at any given moment.
And we'll see what they can do with it, and they will eventually take down Asim, who was trying to cause some problems toward that bottom cutoff. So he gets dropped, and with that, it is into the 1 versus 1 to the backside of Bricks. That's going to be player 6 in Mental taking on Mack, and it will be Mack Attack that's able to walk away with the fight. So despite what was a solid P1 for LAG, they bet on that 1 versus 1, but it is the second-year player, Mack Attack, going big, as that will set up the Subliners now for the spawns, and a great chance not just even up this score, but massively take the lead, as LAG yet to grab too much real estate.
Yeah, they're trying to break this from the backside, but so far New York, they have so much pressure on the map that they're not allowing a clean 2 to 3 kills to happen, as HyDra still holding down this side pocket, just finessing his way back and forth, as Diamondcon does pick up a second. So now they're in the process of flipping these spawns, and it can get dangerous for LAG, because with the Asim winning that huge one-on-one versus aBeZy, all of LAG are going to start spawning out towards back train tracks, towards back P5. And if you're New York, you're not too mad about it. Diamondcon on a 4-spree, Mack on a 2, with the rotations already in their back pocket. New York are in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. 12 valuable seconds still left, and Mack, well, he may just do all the work himself, and you bet he will. That's going to be a 4 streak to close out Radar, and based off of those spawns, as HyDra continues to wipe them away through middle map, it is Subliners as well, prepared and set up for that next rotation, as HyDra now sitting on 3 in a row. He was off to a nice start, and that's only going to continue as Assault is finally able to take down the Frenchman. I'm almost like a fly just right in your face. Just get out of here. Get out of my face. Oh, LAG, they definitely needed that, but the work does not stop here, as they'll try to make their way inside a shop. Mental, again, trying to clear things out, working on spotty communication, because LAG have yet to really see too many players after walking away with kills. And despite Mental being here, he's going to be the farthest pushed up player. He's able to put in 1. Now it's aBeZy on the opposite end. The SMGs trying to stay alive, and aBeZy does stay alive for the moment. He and Assault will combine for 2. So at the very least, if you're Guerrillas, boy, you wanted to earn some time here, but you do delay for a while. But that's not going to make that score look any easier. It is a great beginning, regardless of how that last hardpoint went for NYSL.
But now this is where you need to respond if you're LAG. You need to try to get a good hold on this P4 hard point, not allow any players from NYSL to sneak through or pick up some kills pushing towards the left side of the map. As the trades are going back and forth, Asim was able to find 2. But the response from LAG is going to be there. The only thing is that now spawns are going to be flipped. NYSL starting to spawn towards top green. LAG all spawning towards that back alley. They're doing a great job at just holding this time right now. Getting a good chunk, only being down by about 35 points now. You see NYSL taking their time. They cannot allow these spawns to flip one more time. They have to try to trade these kills effectively here.
Silly off to a rough start. Now sits at 2 and 8. And based off of him dropping, that could be the key for New York. Getting some time inside of the hard point, but it is straight trades, constant back and forth throughout the middle side of the map. And oftentimes, when it comes down to these final 2 hills of any rotation, but specifically our first rotation, how great, how important the comms can be. Trying to give your team the edge while also trying to put yourself in a good spot for the next rotation. And with that, we'll go and step aside and see how the comms sound right now for the Subliners. We'll go to an Astro listening with NYSL.
I'm with you green, I'm with you green.
I'm waiting for you, Paco.
B search, B search.
I didn't have my close, Paco.
Justin's in lights, Justin's in lights.
He's in here,
He
Paco.
got me in lights, he got me in lights.
Bottom
Bottom out, guys.
I heard you.
Alright, we're weak.
One's
One
back,
gen,
one's
nice,
back
one gen.
bricks.
I don't see anything cuts
Paco
out.
pushes that P4.
I don't see cuts out.
I don't see him, I don't see him.
He's
Must one B search, must one B
He's
search.
Assault
dead.
Hey, deep, shoot him deep. Assault on a wrap right
I got up time, can you bump?
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
play
trying
bricks.
to
I spawn brick,
No.
I spawn bricks, guys.
I'm full
Spawn
flash
on
in
me.
the corner.
I have bricks.
Okay.
One left
I
coming.
have alley, I have alley.
Left on me, dead.
Yeah, I'm watching bricks slide in then.
They're going right, they're going right.
I'll do
One
I
big
can
on me.
call your alley, I can call your alley. Alley, one shot,
I'm
Adam.
turning
Almo.
alley.
One more alley.
Ali dead.
One more, he's going arch.
Are you? Arch weak.
Arch weak, another one back
You
bricks.
went P2,
I'll back up the slabs.
P2.
Yeah, one.
You are plat?
Ouch, Abati,
Yeah.
Abati,
You
ouch.
want plat
Grab
Mac,
mid.
I'm plat Mac.
I got you.
I need my lights.
Mid is open, Paco.
One gen, yeah, I'm coming mid.
I have time.
Don't die mid, you're very important.
There's
Two green, one big door.
I
I rose up. Play tight.
I don't have mid,
Alright, play tight.
I have your gen. Focus your rails,
Focus
your rails.
One shot lights, I died from green. One
You
shot
box on
lights.
me.
I'm watching my time. Watch out.
He box dead. One more top in.
Dead.
Top in.
Let's get top green.
Top bridge.
Nice!
I'm living.
Four.
Stay on time, stay on time.
Focus time. I will rep green, Paco.
Okay.
You stay mid. You stay
Staying
mid.
clap, staying
Team
clap.
try
staying
lights,
clap.
Mac.
I
will.
Okay. Team trying lights with you.
Sharing at it?
One backlight's weak.
Sharing at it still?
Nothing lights on me.
Good
Yeah, I'm
30,
still
just
holding
soak
this. Yeah, this is a good 30.
Two backlights.
Don't
I
force
got
his
one
kills,
backlight
guys. Don't
weak.
force his kills.
Decrease.
There's two
You're
P2.
setting up for P2.
There you go.
One
There's
shot
two green, one
Alright,
I heard
backlight.
you.
Backlights,
Two green.
decrease and backlights.
Stair lights,
Focus
stair
Focus
lights.
the guy
I
lights.
got the
Focus the
green.
guy
I'm
lights.
alive.
Nice,
P
guys.
search on me.
Lights dead, one more B search.
Close
Nice.
P search. Close P
Nice.
search.
One green, one
He's living
B
B
search.
search.
I'm gonna challenge green. Green's not challenging.
Paco,
I'm
chill,
mid first.
chill.
I'm
Go,
rapping
go,
mid. I'm
go.
rapping mid
Green
first.
shot.
One shot. One bullet.
I'm rapping mid. I'm rapping mid.
B search, yes,
I'm
B
coming
search.
through
There's still a guy B search, guys. Trap.
I don't see
He's
B
bit
search.
on the main. Backlights, he could be vent.
I'm looking at backlights.
Dead.
Backlights.
Deep tank. He's on the tank. Mid tank.
On tank.
Back tank,
Guys,
back
don't
tank.
tank
Assault,
together.
back tank,
I don't
assault.
see him. I don't see him on the tank. He's not
I'm
peeking.
I'm gonna charge this guy.
Well, Stud, I gotta say, man, I was pretty impressed with how those comms sounded from the Subliners. I know we were kind of going back and forth saying, hey, that's some great small talk from Diamondcon, Asim getting involved as well. You heard HyDra and Mack both getting loud from time to time, and it is kind of a rarity to see. You know, a younger roster, nobody over the age of 21. Asim, the most experienced player with 3 seasons under his belt. To have communication like that, it's great to see.
Yeah. It definitely is, man. And the biggest thing that I took away from it was just Asim controlling HyDra. Just making sure that he was setting up his star player in those power positions, making sure he wasn't over-challenging. And so far, NYSL have grown themselves a nice little lead, but LAG, they respond with a great P2 hold, which is going to force NYSL off the rotation here. And just keep in mind that number 1 player in the team off the pinch is able to find 1, so that player is going to spawn across the map. But they're doing a great job at least just keeping this mid-map control, not allowing LAG to get fully pushed up. Asim still causing problems in towards the middle of the map. He's going to drop eventually, but still spawning the back as his teammates secure that side.
We'll see how LAG look to break. How awesome this could be for this team's confidence that they were able to do that. But right as their hopes start to get risen, as my hopes start to get risen, LAG fans across the world start to get risen. Subliners are there to shut the door right in their face. 4 down for the Guerrillas as those last 30 seconds look to be going every single way toward the Subliners. As LAG most likely prepping for the middle side of the map as we set toward bottom tank. Silly and Apathy are able to lock in 2. And will give them good positioning for the future. But again, just based off of that first set of rotations, how great the Subliners look toward the beginning. There's a lot for them to have that much more success. It's LAG trying to climb their way back. Now with that in mind, they're going to have to do it on the much more difficult hills. We talk about the 5 that sit on Garrison. Mental, 50 HP, trying to hold the lane, trying to give some callouts to his teammates, but they're all dead. Granted, he's going to put in 2 straight, as that'll be 3 in a row now for Billy. aBeZy comes through from the skies off of the lane that Mental has provided him with, and that'll be the kill. LAG doing everything they can, continuing to hold on to mid-map control, as Mental has been here for quite a long time and intends on staying here a little while longer.
This is great work from LAG. This is the way that they got back into this game off the very first rotation. Was a great time off of this P4. They're doing a great job this time around because they're still spawning NYSL towards back P3. Mental on a 5 spree, trying to pick up some streaks, but unfortunately he's going to lose that gunfight. So that's going to be 3 dead. NYSL, they were able to break in with the 15 seconds remaining, and they were able to flip those spawns. So this is the worst case scenario right now for LAG. You need to try to break out of this quick. Try to attack through dark, try to push through tools, and flip this side.
And as you call them, my friend, those spawns flip, and instantly the game begins to get turned around as LAG now put on the back foot. New York within 30 seconds before calling this Garrison hardpoint theirs, as Diamondcon now sitting on 4 in a row, nearly makes it 5, but granted, the trades are there. Mental and Code now spawning toward the backside of bricks. And again, with Mack's positioning, he's instantly going to be aware where those players are hiding. Granted, for Mental, as we mentioned, it's kind of a slower stage for him. And as this game looks to go the way of the Subliners, you still got to be happy. Again, you're not expected to win that first hardpoint. Mental at least sitting +1. Lily looks that much more comfortable here on land. But as aBeZy drops, that very well could be one of the final difference makers, but there we have it. Cellium Assault. So when we start to think the game very well could be over at this hard point, they begin to go big for 2. NYSL now on the retake. That'll be 3 in a row for them. Not able to win it off of this hill, but you like their chances to probably do it at the next one as the final few seconds begin to come on through. 3 seconds left for New York, and this game will be theirs. A solid answer to start for NYSL. It got scary at times, but overall it is control from beginning to end as the Subliners will answer back with a solid Game 1 victory.
Just great work right there from NYSL. It all came down to that early game. Once they were able to get that P1, chain it to that P2, and then eventually chain it to P3 as well, that was the entire turning point for me because LAG, they weren't able to break in. Asim was that player that spawned all the way across the map. He was properly setting up that pinch and just kept the LAG players consistently trying to flood out of top green, which eventually wasn't going to work for them. NYSL, they walk away with that map number 1, not in dominant fashion, but they get the job done there. NYSL, they're going into that search and destroy though, where a new team, they tend to struggle with, but they've had a couple days underneath their belt worth of practice. Hopefully LAG are able to respond here and tie the series up 1 apiece.
Yeah, it's hard too, Stud, because it's like, okay, Subliners, good job, you won the hard point. You should have, but you did. Considering the fact of the way this team has looked on Garrison, as they now improved to 3-0 here in stage 5, and also we talk about LAG, their woes in this hardpoint mode. But a solid answer back concerning the search and destroy that sits up next for the Subliners. Can they make it a solid 2-0 beginning, or will we have LAG answer back? It's going to be Moscow S&D up next after this.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hey CDL, I'm here in Brooklyn with Abe. And today, Abe is going to be playing Astro's Listening Challenge, where he's going to try to find 5 hidden magic words in this game between NYSL and Chicago OpTic. If he gets all 5, he gets something special. Are you ready? Let's do it. Let's go!
I'm going at old elbow. There's only 2 on you guys.
Something elbow.
They're gonna spawn out. One, 2 bank mates.
They're gonna spawn out. 2 bank mates.
Pillar weak.
Pillar weak.
Pillar weak. Dead.
Their side hill. I'm looking over Balk. Green on me. Deep Street 2.
I'm looking deep
Deep Street. I can't tell if I'm saying Deep Street or Green Street.
I am.
Man, Abe, you were so close. Oh my god.
I really need a new headset too, man.
Maybe we'll run it back.
Alrighty, friends, welcome back. It is our second series of the day. It is an elimination game as well, but let's keep the conversation here with the Subliners. They did claim that first Game 1 hardpoint victory there on Garrison. And so let's talk about this group. It has been a shaky year for this team. We talked about roster changes, we talked about moves, and that is very clearly indicated based off the KDs we see here.
Yeah, so stage 1, obviously that's the beginning where everybody's trying to learn the game. You got Clayster on your team, you're feeling good because the guy's gonna learn it before everybody else. So they were sitting 3rd, but then stage 2, 11th, that's where things just started to get shaky for these guys. Obviously Diamondcon was on the team back in the day. This is before they made that roster change for HyDra. They go on to that stage 3, it improves there. They go on throughout stage 4, they improve there. The only thing is Asim wasn't able to make it to that final major. And then throughout stage 5, it hasn't really been good for them because they've just dealt with so much stuff that it's really hard to just talk about it, man, because this team, I feel like with so much young talent on this roster, they need that leader in Clayster to lead these troops the right way. And once that guy, you know, he decides to bench himself currently, as the roster hasn't really seen a lot of success recently, this has been a struggle for this team. But now they're up 1-0 in this series. This is where these young guns can really start to perform, really start to, you know, get that main stage jitters off of their belt, as they're already up 1-0 in this series. They're going into a search and destroy Moscow, where they're sitting at 2-6 on the season, compared to LAG, who are 5-6. And LAG have beat them every single time in search and destroy. So NYSL, they need to come out and they need to show me something, at least on this map number 2.
Yeah, and as we talked about, you know, in regards to search and destroy, you have this new kind of roster coming into play. Sometimes S&D can be the last thing over the finish line to really adjust and work on. But, you know, it is interesting, man. We take a look at those 4 players on the Subliner side. I mean, all 4 guys at one point, you know, have been involved with roster changes. And, you know, I guess you could say outside of HyDra, obviously he joins the team a little bit later, but obviously Diamondcon, you know, starts things off in place of Zuma. Mack at times was in and out of the lineup when big moves were happening. And the guy who leads leads the troops wasn't even supposed to be on this team at the start of the year in Asim, now is called upon to essentially be the IGL spirit of this group, as that'll be 2 early kills for the Subliners to start off this round. But aBeZy replying back in a phenomenal way, as that'll be 2 for App, now putting us in the 2 versus 2. Keeping in mind LAG still with the bomb on their back. Blue's gonna go ahead and grant the call out. NYSL getting ever comfortable. Still 45 seconds on the clock before a move has to be made. And aBeZy will have to go and get that objective down soon.
Yeah, with 40 seconds left, they know the positioning of both these New York players. It's all about, are they going to challenge it? And aBeZy is actually going to extend to it. Wins a huge one-on-one versus Mack. So now it's all on Cellium. Just stay alive. aBeZy's working this bomb plant. Now you have the 2v1 man advantage. And aBeZy, Chapathey, Mr. Papa App gets the ace on the round. Give him 4 and the bomb plant. What a way to start for LAG.
Do we want to stick with Chapathey? It's like Champs. Do we need a new nickname? I don't know. It fits, but it doesn't. So. I don't know. I mean, you know, to be fair, not to be, I hate to say this, but, you know, not going to Champ, but, I don't know, like maybe Major? I really don't know where to go with this. I was hoping for something to just roll off the tongue, but all that we know is it's aBeZy with the ace. That's a great start. Obviously, Stud, longtime teammate of yours. You know, when this guy gets rolling, it could be scary. A great start for LAG to see a guy like that going off.
It definitely is, man, because aBeZy, he has the ability to just slay out every single team because he's one of those guys who, at this time of the year, usually turns up at the right time. And with him getting that 8th first round, you can tell that his confidence is starting to be there. Trying to develop some early streaks is going to be aBeZy, but you see the pressure from New York starting to approach towards the speed bomb. It's all going to be an assault. Who has this cross basically lined up. He just has to try to stay alive. That's exactly what it's going to do. He's going to back up. Now it's going to hopefully allow his teammates to hit the rotation, as New York, they're not fully committing to B. They're going to wrap this back towards A.
We'll see how it works out for them based off of the arrows. Now looking great. For some players, they don't exactly know that yet, but see how things begin to change. Mental, obviously seeing all the utility tossed out, but the nade, great work there from Silly, as Mental was there to handle the job at the end. As the Subliners get met with a fist of fury, LAG were ready for the play. They handle business. But a lot of that gets started off with Mental's position, Silly's nade, and from there it is straight up chaos. Asim just trying to survive for a moment, sweat off the brow, and Assault, he's right there to greet him for the 4th and final kill of the round.
I just love how LAG didn't bite on the rotation. Like, Assault gives them the call out that there's going to be multiple players approaching towards the speed bomb, but they stood their ground at A and were set up for that rotation beautifully. Such a clean round right there from LAG. aBeZy also on a 5-3 now, 2 kills away from picking up some potential streaks. As you see LAG approaching towards the speed bomb, number 1 is going to be Asim. He's going to be playing towards that window. That flash is going to indicate that someone is in this position. How aggressive do LAG decide to play it now?
That's the question that Subliners are asking themselves too. Based off the Subliners' arrows, you can see they have really adjusted from A to B. It was 2 players at A, 1 through middle and Mack, and 1 sole island player at B. The typical setup on defense when we talk about Moscow normally. They have read this one correctly to start, but it's about trying to stop these players right as they walk on through inside of the apartments, and HyDra happy to take them down in stride, as with 38 seconds left, LAG vending now for the rotation.
Yeah, in New York, they are completely off guard by this play. Like, no one is wrapping back. LAG should be able to get this bomb down uncontested. But they do have the man advantage. It's all about the 4v3 retake, and they're going to have 3 players approaching through the backside of their spawn. So, number 1 player, the team actually might get great timing before the bomb goes down, but aBeZy's going to get it down. Now it's a 2v4 situation, all left up to Silly and Assault.
What they can do, they've got each other's back covered toward the outer side, but HyDra does not care. He does not care an inch. Decides the challenge, catching LAG off guard, and will make him pay. A very interesting round here for New York, but as you said, instead they don't bite on the rotation to start. We thought, hey, that could really start to harm them in the end, but they utilize the numbers correctly. HyDra goes big, and obviously it's Asim taking on the player on the bomb that really changes things up. With that, the rest of the team falls in line.
And that's how just a good team retake. No one tried to be superhero. No one tried to make an individual play. They all wrapped back together and eventually were able to close out the round. So New York able to walk away with the defense. Now they're back on the offensive side. They also shut down aBeZy on some potential streaks there as well. So just a good round from New York. Is now back on the offense. The pressure is going to be in through the middle of the map, and this Assault's not going to be here. So if they can time this perfectly, they can easily rotate between both bombs. But just the way that LAG is set up right now, they're expecting a street push or at least a street rotation to come in. And this might catch NYSL completely off guard.
Well, that's a great first blood there from Silly. Started off slow in the hard point, but to our first 4 rounds now, Silly turning things around. This will be 4-1 after that first blood. And with that, Subliners, we're going to go and halt the push, park the bus, and look for that first pick. Is aBeZy yet to be spotted? And again, if you are the Subliners, you don't really have any information to work off of. All you know is that Silly was hanging out toward apartments. He takes you down, and from there, that is really about it. And based off of the lack of information, they will go with what works normally. The A push. Only player here for LAG with 25 seconds left is going to be Mental, but he rotates on out. So somewhat of a similar story to what we saw in the last run for New York. A bomb site was clear, but it was the defensive team with numbers that successfully was able to retake. But here come the early pinch. With 10 seconds left, aBeZy is going to check this. Assault takes down 2. HyDra, meanwhile, will escape with his life, and it's going to all be down onto him. Takes down Assault from range. It is the headshot coming in from the Frenchman, and Silly, he wants no business with this. Tries to go ahead and bend on down. Cannot get the defuse in successfully, but how about HyDra? Unbelievable plays. We'll get to watch this one again, Stud.
That was nasty. Like, the fact that HyDra picks up this first kill, that one's the easy one. But what the confidence to challenge the second one onto Assault and then get away with his life, that's such a great play out of HyDra right there to clutch up the round for his team. Was that a 1v3? I'm pretty sure it was a 1v3.
Like that.
Give him 3 kills on the streak, trying to work towards some potential streaks. But HyDra having himself a great round right there to tie it up all at 2 apiece for your LAG. That one stings, man. If you just take your time and eventually try to play the trades correctly, you can close it out. But HyDra not folding there, able to clutch up, tie it up at 2 apiece.
And if you're Assault, you're like, hold on, wait, that was a 74U? That was a 74U, baby, back to back. Now he gets taken down by Asim once more with the SMG. That's that last gunfight versus HyDra is one where you kind of sit up in your chair a little bit. You're like, you know, kind of move the shoulders around a little bit. Like, all right, I gotta get myself focused back and ready to go. But here we are. HyDra taking down Silly now with the nade. He can not be stopped. aBeZy, all he can do is just put a few bullets into the Frenchman as he will back on up and continue to give NYSL the numbers that they so desperately need. And it feels like so often the attacking teams in the later stages have relied on this A bomb site. And it has saved a few teams, but like we said, we know based off that last round and his gun skill, that's overall gonna allow for you to walk away with the round. His mental and aBeZy still incredibly close, and with how long that they're waiting, it just makes this round that much more intense. But mental and aBeZy both win their 1v1s, and now it brings it all to Mack, but he's aware of the rotation. He cannot take down both with the Diamati. But my goodness, great work from LAG. 20 seconds left, Stud. They don't have the bomb down, but they both win their 1v1s.
Yeah, I can't believe that NYSL just made that mistake of just split pushing right there. Like, if all 3 players are together right there, a potential trade is in, and it forces it down to a 1v1. But Mack tries to make the play across the map. Both of the players from NYSL and HyDra and Diamondcon get some bad timing towards that backside. And aBeZy and Mental go huge for LAG, man. Great response after such a devastating round from HyDra's 1v3. Yeah. Just to clutch up a 2v3 puts the momentum back on their favor. As we mentioned, Assault having a rough last 2 rounds, just cheering on his boys. That round has to feel good. Mental will come away with that ending 1 versus 1. And we'll be continuing to talk about his performance throughout this series. But, you know, if you're Revit and JP, obviously the coaches for NYSL, you have circled this search and destroy and said, guys, if we can win this, we can definitely walk away with the series. They are 0-3 on Moscow Search and Destroy here in Stage 5. Victory here would be great for their confidence and great versus a team that relies very much on Search and Destroys going their way in LAG. And speaking of them, Mental getting dropped for the first kill. Nice answer early from Mack as the Subliners, based off of where they find themselves on the map, you see they have a nice little divide. They will separate LAG from joining alongside each other for the moment. Assault makes his role that much more important. He puts in a few bullets and has to back on up. Still gonna get caught off guard. There goes Assault, and now it is all on the Father app. I don't know if he'll be reading any bedtime stories in this round, as he'll be put to bed himself. The Young Guns getting the job done, as now we're all level at 3-3. That was just such a great round from New York right there. With HyDra not dropping early to that guy top Eskies, Mack picking up that kill, they have the man advantage. They know that eventually the rotation has to come in. They don't hit B from the front side, they go straight up the middle of the map. So they're able to cut off that rotation on the backside and then eventually solo out Assault on the street. Just a great round right there out of New York. And one thing that so far that I was really worried about with New York is when Asim dies early into these rounds, how does these guys develop on the play? Because Asim is their leader, but it's really difficult when you're leading from a def cam. Like, your confidence is at an all-time low, you're losing one-on-one engagements, but who's going to be able to step up? And I feel like in this situation, it has to be Diamondcon who's calling the plays when Asim is dropping. Great call, man. Like I said, if you're Asim, you're just kind of pressing L1, R1, going back and forth between everybody's perspectives. Like, okay, you do this, you do that. Most likely not going to work out, but as we said, Diamondcon, highest KD for this team in Search and Destroy throughout the entirety of the year, despite missing a few stages. But there we have it. Asim, his impact has dropped a little bit early in a few of these rounds, but
he stays alive, how much of a difference he can make as Cellium finally able to take him out. Mack with the reply as Assault dropping in 4 straight rounds. Cellium now able to bring it to a 1 versus 1, 38 seconds left, but you are in the more unfavorable spot if you are LAG. Positive for Justin Fargo is that he does in fact have the bomb on his back. This 1v1 could be happening before we know it. This very well could come down to timing. If Cellium holds that angle, maybe things could have been different. But as Mack will look to check over at A, we'll have to hit the quick little U-turn as Cellium will plant this one down at B.
So now it's a 1v1 with 40 seconds left. Cellium is going to be keeping control of that window room. Doesn't have really eyes on the bomb site. He's just trying to use his headset to the best of his ability. He knows that Mack eventually has to try to check his room. And Mack's going to jump in. Mack's going to jump in, but Cellium's able to clutch it up for LAG. What turned out to be a 4v2 situation right off the rip. Cellium responds with a great corner onto Asim, then finds a second kill on the Diamondcon. I feel like if Diamondcon in that situation is not so aggressive there, Mack has the ability to get that trade, but Cellium's able to win this huge one-on-one and then just play the mind games off the rotation, clutches up with the SMG for his team. LAG walk away with the round.
Yeah, great plays all around for Cellium. Single-handedly decides how that round goes and now leads the lobby in total kills as we're through 7. 8 and 4 does sit Cellium. Again, as we mentioned, not a great hardpoint performance. Really been a rough last few stages for Cellium, but we know what this guy could do. But a few years ago, how he would just take over maps whenever he did get dropped from that United team back in the day. He came back with a vengeance as Assault getting pegged up once more, but thankfully for him, he will be able to stay alive, something he's not been able to say for the last few rounds. We'll see if Cellium can extend the streak. He is the sole player toward the outside of bricks. Mental will look to put in a line of fire as well. Gonna hold off for as long as possible, and that will be 2 that connect simultaneously. And there goes Diamondcon as well, all down to Mack in a 1 versus 4. Just great work from LAG, backing up, almost constant bait and switch situation stud. And that is that teamwork, that history we talked about. We know, despite what has been a lackluster search and destroy performance for these guys in the last few stages, it's ingrained in them. We know they have the ability to do it. And that round shows exactly why that's the case.
Yeah, just a beautiful round right there out of LAG. They set up the crossfires properly. It was all on Mental and Cellium. They knew that the pressure was going to be in from the backside, but once Mental puts down a couple shots into both players around that side, he drops the nade, gets both of those players one shot. Cellium gets 1, and eventually the crossfire was set up beautifully as LAG walk away with the round, puts them at game point. Cellium also on a 5 spree, trying to work towards some streaks to close this one out and tying this series up at 1 apiece. But back on the offense they go. This time NYSL is switching it up. You're going to have HyDra, who's attacking towards this middle P1 hard point. They're going to back down Diamondcon off of that A site. And right now, NYSL giving up A completely. This is not what I expected going into this last defensive round for them.
Yeah, definitely a little bit strange, but it appears they will kind of prioritize the middle and bottom side of the map. If you are looking at the mini-map, of course. New York, nobody at all. No visuals over at A, and I mean, really the only indicator that they'll have that somebody's on, is at A, is if things are a little bit quiet in the other 2 lanes of Moscow. As the trophy goes down, LAG looking to set up shop as aBeZy just wants to make sure he is as far away from the bomb site as possible for how they're going to go and have this defense. So it's 2 from Eskies, 2 from the other side of White. The Subliners begin to make their prowl on into the site, and that is a wonderful beginning as HyDra, escaping with 5 HP, is able to take down the first. The ARs on the other side, though, is Diamondcon now called into action, as that'll be 2 for him. HyDra on the other side. It is a team, rather an ace from HyDra and Diamondcon combined, as Asim will be there with the defuse. How's that for a retake?
All right, well, giving up A, I guess, is going to work off of NYSL. I'm pretty sure if you're LAG right there, you can just tell aBeZy was real hesitant, like, on that plan. He was expecting, like, there's no way these guys just gave up this A-bomb for free. But once they did that, NYSL do a great job at opening up with that first blood from Eskies and then eventually setting up that pinch as HyDra goes from Eskies all the way through the flank side. Just great plays from NYSL to stay alive in this game. So far, the aggression is what's been working for New York.
Yeah.
If I'm New York right here in this round, I'm being super aggressive towards one of these bomb sites and just trying to get that trade early into this round.
for the moment, NYSL making their way up quite aggressively toward B. Go and toss out the utility, go and trade that back and forth. But is it as aggressive as you wanted it to be so far for Subliners?
Definitely not, man. You have both of these guys set it up in the Creddy setup. If anyone walks in this door right here, they are completely going to get decimated. Right now, aBeZy holding on the backside. Assault eventually able to find that first blood. This is what I'm talking about with NYSL. You need to speed this up and not allow LAG to eventually work a pick. But now with the man advantage, you see number 7 in Silly all the way pushed up towards their side of the base. They have to commit towards the speed bomb now.
Oh, and those players.
That's unfortunate.
They were together for so long. It's Asim who takes down HyDra. Just the miscommunication there for New York. With 18 seconds left, they've got to get this plant down soon. Mental looks the challenge. She'll give the call up to Silly. And that plant has got to be coming in soon, but will they get the timing? Right as Asim tries to leave the doorway, he takes him down. And now it is all on to DC. 1 versus 2. Mental and Silly decide to go and wrap this one toward Boulevard. So again, they're staying 2 men strong, not wanting to separate, but it's all about the timing right now for Diamondcon. Keep in mind, he's got 10 shots right now inside of that Krieg, but it's not going to matter. Mental walks away with the fight in what was for so long a push ready for the SMGs. HyDra and Asim, they were ready. They were prepared. They had the 74 U's. They were ADSing for what felt like 45 seconds. Right when the engagement begins to take place, the other takes him down as we'll get to watch this one against just heartbreaking type of situation if you're New York. It could have been a much better spot if you had those 74 U's. Now turns in to an LAG victory. That search and destroy has to feel good for them as now they level the series at 1-1.
And this is great for LAG. Great response to get back into this one because they haven't really seen a lot of success in the respawns versus a team like NYSL. They have yet to beat them in a hard point. NYSL are currently 7-0 in that category, and they're also 3-0 in control. But they have dominated NYSL in this column in Search and Destroy, 4-0 in the season, as you see it in the pop-up in the bottom of our screen. And that's good for LAG because finally something is going in towards their favor. When we talked about LAG early into the year, S&D was always that game mode that kept them alive in series. That was the game mode that allowed them to eventually beat FaZe all the way into Game 5.
Right.
So the fact that they were able to win that one there, tie the series up 1 apiece, is exactly what they were looking forward to. Now it's all about, can they try to take the advantage in that control? Because Checkmate hasn't been a good map for them all year, but for New York, coming in off of that roster change, their game plan is completely different. So
right.
I'm excited to see how that map 3 is going to play out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure as LAG are able to answer back. I mean, Silly had a great performance toward the stretch. He really kind of took off and obviously ends things out on double digits. But the guy who really started the pace off right for the Guerrillas is the player that we're going to be looking out for now in our U.S. Army tactical play study. It was, in fact, the ace coming in from Father App. We'll take a look at that one here again and walk me through it, man. How is he able to do this?
So right here, you see NYSL, they're able to find 2, but you see aBeZy, no hesitation, slides right out of Eskies, able to find them first and then find the second as well. So now it all comes down to a 2v2. Eventually, aBeZy knows he has to work this bomb plant. They spot the positioning of Asim as he's trying to hit the flank, and they already know where Mack is going to be towards the middle side of that Eskies area. So aBeZy, he takes it into his own power. He said, listen, I got 2 rings on my 2 left fingers, so I'm going to sit there and I'm going to challenge this one. And that's exactly what happens as he wins a huge one-on-one engagement versus Mack, works the bomb plant, then it's all down to a 2v1. aBeZy knows the positioning, and then eventually he's able to close out the round, man. LAG, this was a good early start for momentum after not really having a good map number 1. And just closing out this map number 2 to tie the series up is beautiful from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Great plays from Father App as it's an ace to remember, as our Astro Social soundboard will now show us exactly why that's the case. You see Pop aBeZy with the ace. Give us the series that we want. aBeZy on lay it as something else. Big aBeZy with the plays. We love to see it. aBeZy, it is a fan favorite amongst the CDL fans, and it showed exactly why that's the case. He and Silly, the vets on this team, will now give this roster a much better chance in this series. They win the Search and Destroy, as now we are at 1-1 coming into control. It'll be on Checkmate when we come back.
Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
Folks, we are celebrating the COD League Stage 5 Major with a giveaway. One winner will get a controller of choice featuring the winning team's design. To enter, all you have to do is retweet this tweet, follow @ScuffGaming on Twitter, and also don't forget to tag a friend. That giveaway does in fact end Sunday, August 1st at the end of the broadcast. Make sure to do that. I'm taking a look at my Scuff just now, and boy, do I wish I was hopping on some raid hardpoint myself and some good old League play, but alrighty, folks, we got to talk about more about this matchup in particular. As we said, we sit currently at 1-1. Let's start, like I said, these two teams, they've met up a number of different times throughout the year. Subliners, they have gotten the more positive side versus LAG historically. Well, I know when we take a look at the numbers, it's New York who has never lost a respawn. LAG have always won the search and destroys. How do you feel about history maybe repeating itself again here?
I feel like it has a good shot, man. Every single win that NYSL got over LAG were all in the 3-1. Every single time LAG won that map, it came in the search and destroy. But so far, they have just struggled in the respawns versus NYSL. And I know this is a new team in NYSL, not having Clayster here, but still, just based off of that first map, you can just tell that NYSL still using some of that game plan when Clayster was still in the building to keep their hard point and their control at least on point. So I feel like they're going to be able to close it out in 3-1. Because you're going into a checkmate control where LAG haven't really seen a lot of success. They're sitting at 1-5 on the season compared to NYSL, who are 5-7. So what I'm looking for specifically on this map is the battle of the ARs. I need Silly, I need Assault to really come out hot, at least in the beginning of this game, making sure that you're winning your defenses, at least in a dominant fashion when it comes to the slaying, not allowing any segments to be capped, but also you just have to make sure that you're keeping map control. Because one thing that LAG do, when one player drops, then it's a whole chain reaction. You cannot allow that to happen on a map like Checkmate, because NYSL, they will capitalize on it.
Yeah, a big game for both of these teams. Control really has been a struggle for not just LAG, as they're 3-9 in the last two stages combined, but the same thing could somewhat be said for the New York Subliners, as they sit 5-8 throughout the last two stages combined as well. And when you really look at both these teams, Checkmate, Control, not a mode that they really play often. We're looking more at raid, specifically at Garrison between both of these two. So, as we said, kind of an interesting pick, but for LAG, again, not one that they're normally good at, but that is, as you said, Stud, a great start, winning 3 out of the first 4. But of course, HyDra's still alive.
Yeah, they do a great job at least finding all 4 kills off the rip. Silly's going to be the farthest player from LAG pushed up towards his A site. They're just trying to cause some problems in toward plane. Assault and Mentor are able to find 2, but Asim answers with 2 of his own. They're starting to get that progression up towards that A point, and this is just great work so far from LAG as they find another 2 kills. Both players from NYSL coming off spawn now.
Instead, I feel like we haven't really seen Checkmate Control too often, at least when you and I have casted. Like, Checkmate Control is not one that we see often. Quickly, give me a little rundown. Give me a little rundown. What is the attacking team looking to do for both of these zones, A and B?
So if you're on the attacking side, obviously it's all about just making sure that you're picking up your kills, not getting put in a spawn trap. But with LAG getting that first tick on towards A, NYSL, they were able to respond with 4 dead. So now this is what I'm talking about. You had to try to break out of this if you're LAG. Open up with that first kill, try to fight for some playing control. Is going to be their key to success as they're nading out Mack out of this corner. That was 3 nades eventually to take him out. And now that's going to open up that playing control for LAG.
You can only imagine the comm center there. All right, Lord nade. Okay, we need another. Okay, we need one more. We just need one more nade, Mack. Takes 3 nades to take him down. LAG, finally. What it takes, not just about the weapon firing, it's about the nades that have to try to be in reply. But as you called it and stated it so well, Stud, the attacking team just at times can have such a rough go of it when it comes down to Checkmate, when it comes to Control in general, but specifically on Checkmate for how hard it is to break out of your spawn. And we're learning exactly why that's the case in motion as Mack will take down 3 in a row with 50 seconds left, despite what has been a great start for LAG. And realistically, throughout the rest of the game, I mean, you'll take it in regards to ticks, and we can head to that round 5. As many as you can grab, the better. But on most maps, you'd be thinking, hey, there's a real good chance, but LAG, they've got to get HyDra, they've got to get Mack out of their base. They've gotten through 1 of them to start, but Mack going out on top. Equals things out with the trade, and now LAG for the first time have found the lane over at this B zone. They've got 2 players strong. HyDra still toward top plane, but easily come in to ruin the party at any point, as that'll be the 4th tick of the game, the first one at B. DC able to shut down Cellium to start. Here comes Asim from the flank, and now that time continues to roll. 23 left as Assault gets traded out.
Huge one-on-one kills coming in from NYSL. They know that this round is crucial, and so far they're standing strong as they have a 2 live advantage. Diamondcon picking up the 3rd, so no more respawns coming in on the side of LAG. aBeZy also going to drop Sonata 6v2. This is only a matter of time before NYSL able to walk away with it, as they walk away with the first defensive round. But if you're LAG, you're not too mad about that. You complete that A point, you get that first tick on towards that B, so at least you're up by 4 segments. If they can come out and have a dominant defensive round, then they should be straight. At least if it gets to that round number 5, they will have that defense. But just a great hold right there from NYSL, not losing composure once that A capture was captured, and eventually gaining that map control back. You see 3 players already trying to work towards some streaks.
It's fun stuff because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, like, well, they lost a round. There's not any positive takeaway. There really is. Like, again, with how hard it is on the attacking side, you will take as many ticks as you can get. A full zone, absolutely. It's just funny to kind of think, you know, from time to time we talk about a loss, how, you know, you can still take some really, really good things away. LAG, I guess you could say kind of a 0.5 type of situation based off how they looked, but now it's into the Subliners here on attack, as they will look to clear things out to start, and they instantly pause the timer at 107. A big engagement already for Father App. What's up out of his play in the clutch? Not able to win that one versus Diamondcon, as the Krigs, the 74 U's, continue to fire out here at Checkmate, and LAG without numbers. They're nervous to challenge this because they don't have a whole lot of teammate support. Mental, he's been here for a good 20-25 seconds.
Yeah, NYSL, they only have 1 player on that A point until the 2nd player eventually comes in. But they were just doing a great job of just cutting off the angles of where LAG can try to break in from. And so far, NYSL, they're so far pushed up into their base that they already have a 7 live advantage. Kills going back and forth, but New York, such a great start to this offensive round. You see Asim on a 5-3, trying to pick up some early streaks to kill, still keeping plane control. But if you're Assault, you're just waiting for your teammates to try to pick up some kills and get some spawn killing. But so far, NYSL not giving up anything.
Assault's like, I cannot wait to spawn trap these guys. Just a matter of time. We'll see if that can work out. His teammates are able to find the kills. So New York now in the back of their base, and right as I call out Assault, caster curse. Mack is there to beam him down. Unfortunate life there if you are Adam Assault. But still, minute 30 to work with here in this round number 2. And the Subliners doing a great job, but again, Mental still playing strong. You see him constantly getting involved in the feed. I'm not sure, you know, where he sits overall right now in this series stud, but I know what he sits around like a 0.69, 0.7 so far, and it's clear his impact has been different so far throughout the series.
Yeah, it definitely has, man. He stepped up, at least in that search and destroy, having tremendous plays there. The crossfires from Cellium on that A point, but he needs to try to turn up here because so far NYSL are running the plane. That's going to be another 3 down. aBeZy's going to be the last player up. He's going to drop, and now this is going to leave the opening for NYSL to try to get on this big point. But with them having so many lives to play with, you see them just approaching it, trying to set up for these spawn kills. 19-4, no more respawns coming in from LAG. They're not even trying to capture this. They're trying to close it out, basically playing TDM right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And HyDra, quite fond of the mode. I mean, it's just straight beams. Straight beams for the last, what, good 25, 30 seconds there for New York. You see HyDra and Asim coming back and forth. Happy with the way that they looked in this attack. We were talking to Asim constantly with that SMG. I was calling it the SMGs looking good. I think both of them actually had Krigs toward the end of the round, and it's not to be unexpected on a map like Checkmate. Long-range fights up close from afar. Asim can truly do it all.
He really can, man. He's also able to pick up that artillery, so that can be useful just in case the pressure comes in really fast towards that towards that A site. This time around, if you're New York, though, you cannot allow that initial break to happen once again, because LAG, they found all 4 players off the rip, and that's what led to them eventually closing at that A point so quickly. This time around, Diamondcon is going to open up with that first blood onto aBeZy. It's time to take it slow in towards a plane. Mental is going to give up his positioning, but the challenge is going to be here. Mental actually finds the 2nd kill as well. The 2 NYSL players find 2, so they're going to slow down that pressure right now from LAG.
Good place for Mental instead of top plane. He'll have to quickly dip out, and you see Asim trying to find exactly where he went. Finally gets his opportunity, but that'll now be 3 in a row for Mental. And then that's going to be the 4th. Does finally get dropped. And I'm always going to be the spoiler is HyDra. Seems every time you finally get a little bit of a sequence going, Frenchman is always there to take you down. As he'll have to try to play once again spoiler. Few good moments here for LAG. His assault gets pegged up from the back. Great movement from HyDra toward bottom plane. You're happy to at least sit on this clock for as long as possible if you are the Subliners. Given that you are on defense, you can allow for LAG to try to come to you. Mack nearly goes for the 2nd one. Great opportunity for a trade as LAG a major fight toward the point, but as they fall, now it's up to them to try to get something going once more, relying on Mental to try to pave the way. But Asim gonna go and call in this streak, actually just go for the information. So with that, 15 seconds on the clock, LAG in the back of their base, finally stopping things over at B with 14 left, but here comes that artillery.
Yep, the artillery is going to come in, and Diamondcon actually catches both of those players as they're trying to go towards the bottom of the plane. So now it's a 2v3 for the players that are farthest pushed up from LAG. One player in Mental is going to drop, so now with 5 seconds left, they have to try to get on towards one of these points. They have to stop this clock, or NYSL will be able to close it out here.
5 count more even, but again, it's all about that timer, 4.7 to work with, as every time that an LAG player falls, it looks that much more unlikely. As Diamondcon tries to go for the contest, now it's into the 1 versus 1, and Diamondcon is able to take it. Apathy ends things out on a 5 spree, but it's not going to matter. Diamondcon all the superior, as that will be a quick 3-0 in control. So we had some questions, about this team. How are they going to perform in control? A new roster, not looked great throughout the stage. That 3-0 here on Checkmate definitely has to feel good if you're the team, and obviously if you're the coaching staff.
100%, man, especially the way they came out on their offensive dominance. Keep in mind that they were spawn killing them on offense. They were up by 15 kills on their offensive push. They weren't even trying to capture it. You could just tell that NYSL were playing super confident. But on the opposite side of LAG, when's the last time that they've won a control round? I'm pretty sure throughout all of Stage 5, they got 3-0 in the majority of their controls. So you get 3-0 once again here, and now you find yourself down 2-1 in the series. Obviously, the defensive rounds was a little bit closer, but NYSL, they walk away with that one in a dominant fashion.
That I don't want to say this, but LAG have actually not won a single round in Stage 5 control. They're 0-18 now.
Wow.
0-18.
0-18?
0-18.
That is, we're talking about defenses where defenses is really strong on control. And attacking rounds where teams tend to lose them.
I like that.
But 0-18 on a control round, that's unacceptable, man. Unacceptable.
I got a little bit of Stephen A. Smith in there. Understandably, a little bit frustrated with how LAG have been in their controls, but another 3-0 loss for the boys here. Now, maybe staring at what could be their final map of this season. It is going to be on Apocalypse. Make sure to stay with us. Can NYSL call this one to a close, or will LAG send us to a Game 5? We will find out after this. Hi friends, and welcome back to our first day of Major 5 elimination games. We've already said goodbye to one team, and we very well could be saying goodbye to another very soon, as the New York Subliners coming out hot in that control, 3-0ing LAG for what has been their 6th time in Stage 5, yet to win a control round that has gotten to hurt. But now, Stud, we now focus our attention toward the Apocalypse hardpoint. And it's hard, right? Because for LAG, I mean, what the number is, like 1-19 now in their last 20. We saw a few good moments in the Garrison, but if you look at the stats, I mean, what has to be done here for LAG? Who are you looking at for that roster here in Apocalypse?
I'm looking at a player like aBeZy. Backs against the wall, this is winner go home situation. This is a guy that you're looking for with his veteran presence to really step up on a map like Apocalypse. Last time we saw this, well, at least this map, it was between the last two teams, between Seattle and Paris, and it came down to Zaptius versus Prestinni.
Yes.
Prestinni won that battle. So I'm looking at aBeZy versus HyDra. Whichever submachine gun can really come up clutch in those one-on-one engagements for the rotation should be able to walk away with this. But if you're LAG, oh man, this one's difficult. You haven't been able to beat these guys all year long in hardpoint. So whatever you have been doing, at least in the 7 times you've played them in hardpoint, completely switch it up. Just go off the fly and just try something new here to force it to that Game 5 search and destroy.
He's out there for a moment. 0.96 KD for LAG ranks 9th in the CDL. So it's not at the bottom tier. They have obviously had some good moments in Apocalypse from time to time. And as you said, players to look out for if you're looking at that mini-map from time to time. Player 2 versus Player 5. HyDra for NYSL. aBeZy from LAG. I know that those two players actually had the nice little 1v1 at All-Star Weekend. It was HyDra that made quick work of FaZe, unfortunately to say. But always fun to watch a vet versus a rookie as Mack just totally eliminates Silly in a multitude of ways. A number of different adjectives to use, but we'll just go and say that he takes him down. A great start for NYSL as they'll start off 12-0 LAG with preferred spawns right now inside a temple, as it'll be Asim and Mack looking to fight for those now.
Yeah, and if you're LAG, you do not want to flip these spawns. You need to make sure that you're able to get a good chunk of time off of that P2 hardpoint, because NYSL, they have full control of P1 right now, so the lead is going to grow a little bit more. You just want to make sure that you're winning this huge one-on-one rotation gunfights and not spawning across the map. And with Silly finding that first, he's going to be able to do so. At least keep the spawns for his teammates now. As LAG, we're coming towards the very end of this P1 hardpoint. They're going to be fully set up for this P2.
It's all off to a great start, 4-0. And as you said, LAG looking to hold down Temple, and for good reason. One of the money hills on this map, but it is one of the hardest ones to hold at the same time. And quickly be flipped in just the snap of a finger as NYSL attempt for the first time to try and break on in. Assault nearly taking down 2. His streak will end at 5 in a row. And with that, it is now the head-on-head fight. You see players from Guerrillas, Silly getting the information saying, hey, we are spawning out. We're spawning out toward no man's land. And with that, it leaves Silly in such an awkward position. He wants to go for the engagement. He's trying to time this one up with his teammates, but he's got no teammate support. He goes for the challenge in a 1 versus 2, and just great utilization there of the numbers from the Subliners. A great opportunity to take the lead here for the Guerrillas, but it only extends the Subliners.
Yeah, New York, they were able to break in with about 45 seconds left, and if you're LAG, you just gotta chalk it. Like, that was supposed to be your answer back into this game, but so far, NYSL are playing great hardpoint as Mack finds that kill across the map. It's gonna put him on a 3 spree. Now NYSL up by 50 points. The rotation is gonna come in towards P3. Mental with a huge one-on-one versus HyDra. That's immediately gonna get traded, but once again, New York break in with their first break, and this has been the answer so far in both of the hard points. New York not having a problem breaking in and chaining into some good time.
Asim picking up right where Mack left off. I think it was Mack that ended up dropping, off of the 5 spree. And kind of looking forward, if we were to see the Subliners walk away with this series, I mean, they'd have the Mutineers next, whoever wins this battle. I think it's fair to say, Stud, I mean, a lot of people, you got to be looking out for a number of different players. You know, a lot of focus, instantly gets thrown toward HyDra. It gets thrown toward Diamondcon, but we know the potential that Mack has. I mean, it was like back in stage 4, he led with like a 1.3 KD, something absurd like that. But we all remember the series where he dropped double 40 bombs. The potential on this guy is unbelievable, and oftentimes we look at players on the Subliners, sometimes Mack not always brought up when he deserves to be.
Yeah, not always, man. It just comes down to that consistent level of play. And just the way that New York are playing right now, they're winning a majority of these gunfights. They're holding this on the front side now. You've seen that player was able to pick up some streaks on the side of Diamondcon. But still, the pressure's going to be here. The spawns are going to be flipped as well. So New York's doing a great job. They just have to try to locate Mental. And Mental's going to try to stay alive. Eventually, he's going to fall. And New York, they break in. They flip the spawns. And this is not looking good for LAG.
New Hill, New York break in. New Hill, New York break in. New Hill, New York once again. Break on in, 120 to 28. LAG in a world of pain right now. As we said, what could be their final map of this CDL season, doing everything they can to try to fire back in this game. A huge hill up next. We'll see what they can do with it. A lot of veterans on this group, and they're going to have to rely on that to get them through what is going to be an uphill battle throughout the remainder of this hardpoint, the remainder of this series. Let's see how the comms sound. Let's throw it to an Astro Liston now with LAG.
Another one came in, I got Simp.
Time, we're coming.
One shot. He's their side, their side. They should have a trophy.
Right there.
I'm coming to replace you guys.
I need their side,
Yeah, we have your pinch. You can need their side.
Get pinch. Their side, Mack. Absolute Mack, their side. Back ammo. I got trophy, Billy. One shot. One shot. Two of them spawn out. Max goes right ammo.
Pinch.
Actually, I'm laying out right here.
Let's bring it back.
One back, Mack dead.
Going up.
Actually, last one HyDra.
I think I saw him top.
We got one. He's back truck, Connor, back truck.
I'm rotated.
I'm moving you. He has to play that.
Max
One,
top
P3
3
and back.
Max going P3.
Heli, there's two. Two going in front. Hitting it quick. Stay on PM.
I hit him once though.
Going through dirt.
HyDra. You know, walk in the right corner maybe?
Kill my full. Blue shooting me.
I
didn't hit him. Absolute. I need
me. Fuck.
He was top, not weak. He's front side top. We gotta go HyDra.
Their
side. One shot.
Let's see. Connor. Connor and Tim. Was it be like dirt?
I'm dirt.
Yeah, welcome to you. Slow play Coop. We're going low with you.
Alright, no trophy on hill.
Right there.
Right.
On hill,
I
one
don't see
shot.
anything. I'm Heli. I'm challenging blue guy.
One top.
That's you.
Gotta be Coop. I think it's Coop.
I'm trying here, dude.
He's too close blue.
Another.
Just close to Heli.
Heli up to HyDra. Absolute dead.
Three.
One shot.
Yo, I'm trying to get through front.
Drop down.
One shot. I'm trying.
Hard flash for you.
Push me. He's backside truck.
Yo, he's
front Coop. He's backside truck now. Backside truck.
All right, Stud, I got to talk to you, man. I mean, that does not sound like a team that's getting blown out by 100 points.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't, man. It sounded like LAG, they were locked in. The small talk is there. The communication is there. They know exactly how they want to execute this. It just all comes down to these gunfights. They're not winning a majority of these, and that is what making the game a little bit harder as they're continuously playing from the back foot. New York were able to at least flip off the initial start of P1, but you see the aggression that they already have towards the backside of Temple. LAG, they need to try to hold here. They need to try to pick up all these kills in the back and secure these pawns and chain it to some good time.
You see the Subliners trying to create chaos with the backside of Temple, and as basically half the lobby drops in just a matter of seconds, it's aBeZy who wins the final 1 versus 1. That will give LAG the time for the moment. This has been unfamiliar territory so far throughout Apocalypse. First time to really establish themselves and get some seconds on the board. Seconds that they don't just need to have, but they must have at this stage in the game. As aBeZy now turning things up. That's going to be 5 in a row for him. And as the rotation is prepared for lights, you already see 3 players from the Guerrillas realizing, hey, you know what? The final 20 seconds, that's fine, but we have to chain this. We have to continue to do what we did on that last hill. And aBeZy now at 6 in a row. How great could streaks be at this moment? The SMG starting to turn things around, and based off of those spawns right now for the Subliners, they've got 1 in no man's, 3 coming in from Temple. That's going to be 7 in a row for aBeZy. He's got the streak and also the other one as well. Okay, hold on for a moment. LAG not going down without a fight, as that will be 9 in a row for Father aBeZy. Going off, realizing this could be the final map of their year. Can he make it 10 in a row? He and Mental doing everything they can to try to bring this one back. HyDra around the corner, now make it 10 in a row. aBeZy reaching double digits. He's already got the streaks, and you see the way the score is starting to look. They brought this one back now within about 30 points. They finally get cleared off, but if you are LAG, aBeZy now has those 2 streaks moving forward.
Yeah, you got to use those wisely. You cannot waste streaks here because NYSL, they were able to break in towards this P3, and with 10 seconds left, they're already going to be off the rotation. And this is where LAG, they need to respond. They need to try to flip these spawns immediately, probably use a streak to secure that backside. But so far, New York are doing a great job of just causing problems, not allowing a nice 4 dead to drop. And now this is where LAG, the pinch is going to be set up. You see aBeZy approaching through the front side, but HyDra's going to read it. HyDra's going to get one, but still, NYSL have control. Now it's all about his teammates going huge on the backside, trying to flip these spawns on their head, but aBeZy finding 2, make it 3 with their artillery. It's going to be a huge play. That's going to be 4 dead, and NYSL all spawning at Temple now.
That was one of the best streak usages that we've seen all season long, but how about Diamondcon? You call one in. I've got one myself. We'll see what damage this can do. Not the same presence that we had from aBeZy, but it's a streak battle. That's going to be 2. Make it 3. 6 kills coming in from aBeZy with these streaks, as that's now going to be 8 in a row for him again. My goodness, aBeZy going off here on Apocalypse. Diamondcon tried to answer back, but it's almost like a chess game. You got a piece? Okay, I'll go ahead and play my card. Okay, I got another card actually waiting for you, but it's the cruise and the artillery used simply on that hill. As LAG now prepared for next, but it's going to be a major fight. Diamondcon does get found out. Assault's there to drop him. With that, LAG, they are prepared here for P5. This hardpoint, it's theirs to lose.
They can take the lead right here with 40 seconds left. Their setup right now is beautiful. You have players cutting off the middle of the map. They're all forcing NYSL to try to hit through low trenches, and eventually the lead change is going to come in. LAG have fought all the way back into this game, and it's heavily on the back of aBeZy as he goes on a 10 spree and then another 8. To get LAG back into this one. NYSL with 20 seconds left, you got to start thinking about that rotation. You cannot hit this one more time and eventually give up some streaks to try to get LAG to try to close out this game here. But with 10 seconds left, you see NYSL fully set up for that P1. They cannot allow LAG to get a good chunk of time here and close it out.
Yeah, so what we're going to sit at around 230 to 206, so a 24-point deficit for the Subliners. But as we said, they've got Temple in their hands. It's all about these initial engagements and how that goes. And how about the 3? Make it 4 down. Asim and HyDra turning up for the Subliners. But it was aBeZy who brought things back, and now the SMGs have woken up from NYSL. The boys in yellow continue to destroy, as now it's HyDra's turn. Nearly does find a second for his troubles, but now we've got ourselves a tie game. And based off of those spawns, you see it. New York, they're still in a favorable spot. LAG cannot hardly get past the 50-yard line. A moment to breathe. 234, 238. LAG technically can win it here. The Subliners, who have played so carefully and holding down that next spawn, now have to initiate the fight once more. It's back and forth we go, a 2 versus 1 in favor of LAG on the point, and they are going to wipe away Asim and take down Mack for their troubles. And take a look at where those spawns sit. They've got the next rotation. It's just 1 more point. Diamondcon's here, but he will get traded out. Oh my God, LAG bring the game back. They brought it back. It looked like it wasn't possible, but they're able to do it. Oh my goodness. I thought we were done. I thought we were over.
I thought history was going to repeat itself. I thought NYSL put themselves in a great position to close out this game. But when you got a 2-time champion, world champion sitting on the opposite side of that stage, he's not going to go down without a fight, man. aBeZy goes on a 10 spree, goes on an 8 spree, and I'm pretty sure he dropped like 30-something kills to force this game number 5 for LAG, man. aBeZy not going out without a fight. And now we got a game 5 between these two teams, man. History is not going to repeat itself. Oh, man, game 5.
I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. And you see it there? The first time throughout the entirety of this season, the Guerrillas have beaten the Subliners in a hardpoint, and what I believe that's 7 hardpoints in a row. That streak now broken 2 for LAG. You know, so we came into the series saying, hey, it just has to be 1 respawn. We knew that Moscow Search and Destroy, you know, at times has been great for New York, but LAG, they're able to take it. We didn't think it was necessarily going to be a hardpoint, but it is. They close at Apocalypse with aBeZy going off 32 and 25. He and Mental big toward the end, but as you said it, my friend, what, a 10 streak followed up by an 8 streak, followed up by a 5 streak. My goodness, let's go and take a look again so that at the end of this game here in just a moment, it's going to be our USAA coverage moment. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this was a crazy end. It was not just that aBeZy went on the spree, but it's how they controlled P1 coming into P2 that I want you to break down for the folks here in just a moment as well. Tell me, man, how did LAG manage to do this? How did they manage everything that they did and close out this game?
This is just great work from LAG. The fact that they went 4 dead off the initial time of this P1 hardpoint, they all decided to wrap towards lower trenches and play those trades effectively. And then you realize that there's still 15 seconds on this hardpoint. LAG had the opportunity to close it out here. And even though NYSL putting a lot of pressure on this hardpoint, with Asim not picking up that kill, that is what really broke the game for me, because Mental was able to eventually find 2, not find the 3rd, but eventually his teammates had the flip rotation towards that next hill, and it's just such a great job at just getting that 1 break onto P1. That's all they needed, was 1 break. They executed perfectly, and now we're going to a game 5.
My goodness. Imagine if Diamondcon turns on the 2nd and he's able to keep things alive. Just a matter of what could have, what should have been. Subliners, that one has to hurt, but now we've got ourselves a game 5. Somebody is going to be going home after this one is over. Will it be LAG or will it be New York? Feel free to let us know in the chat. Feel free to let us know on social media using the hashtag CDL2021. Who's surviving here at our Major 5?
I've been stuck up in the sky. Know me at the top, I can't lie. Haters watch it, throw the piece, tell them bye, 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 bye. I got things to do, I got bands to get. Competition up in smoke, cannabis. Ask me why I'm a top 10 candidate. I'm so fly, I'm so clean, and I'm rich. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the scoreboard, I'm running up stats. Numbers don't lie, that's facts. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the numbers, I'm running it up. I got penny bands, I'm thumbing it, yeah. Tell them move. Get up out the way. It's ludicrous, yeah, how much I'm getting paid. 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10K. No mob ties for the player being made. Now how you spoke to your girl, better check her phone. And do you know what she doing when you not at home? And when she tell you she alone, but she not alone. She got a lot of options, eeny, miny, mo. She gon' do what she want, ain't no stopping it all. Pour the liquor in the cup, yeah, I'm topping it all. I might take your girl, take a trip to the mall. Put the shelf in the bag, yeah, cause I'm copping it all. I'm saying, they can't stop it, they can't stop the kids. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kids. Check the scoreboard, I'm running.
Alrighty, friends, welcome back. I hope that you took some time to use the bathroom. Maybe go ahead and fill up those drinks, get some food in you, because my goodness, I needed a moment to breathe myself after what was a crazy end of that apocalypse. But now we focus our attention toward the game 5s, and oh man, we take a look at the records. New York 9-4, LAG at 4-4 in this particular phase of the series. But Stud, again, we talk about 9-4 record. Keeping things in mind, they no longer have Clay.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. So this game 5 is going to be all over the place. Right now, LAG, they have dominated NYSL in the S&D column. 4-0 on the year, and they forced it to an S&D to close out this series. And it couldn't be a better picture for these guys. It couldn't be a better picture that's been painted for these guys to try to close it out here. You know, winning that respawn on the back of aBeZy, having such a huge map 4. This is where they need to come out, and they need to try to win this, because they've had their number all year long in S&D. And with NYSL going into an Express S&D, they just recently played FaZe versus on it, and it was a 6-1 in dominant fashion. So they're not really confident here, and you could just take a look at these stats from map number 2. Silly had an unbelievable game, 10-5, really clutching up for the team. And LAG, this is the perfect situation right now for them to go to this game 5 search and destroy.
Absolutely. I mean, you could not ask yourself for a better spot. All things considered, if you're the Guerrillas, as we mentioned, it's going to be based on that one respawn. We know from the controls. We know from especially the hard points. It had to be one of them in comparison with the search and destroy. And Like I said, they've got themselves where they want to be. This is the spot, if you are an LAG fan, where you are the most comfortable are in these spots or in these search and destroys, and specifically in a moment where we talked about veteran leadership. How does that come into play? One of the oldest rosters on average in regards to LAG. We talk about Cellium's been playing for years. aBeZy's been playing for years. Assault's been playing for years. Obviously, this is Mental's first time, but he's been in these spots many, many times when we talk about kind of these clutch scenarios. And for the Subliners, HyDra, Diamondcon, rookie seasons, Mack, just his second year, Asim, his third season. As we said, the Subliners, we thought they could be tested versus the Guerrillas, and that has absolutely been the case. As now we come in toward Express for Game 5. Who is moving forward? If it's a loss for LAG, that would close out their year. Thankfully, if you are NYSL, if you're a fan of them, you'll still be able to watch this team at Champs if they were to be eliminated in this series. But put that aside, it's all about this game. As we mentioned, New York starting things off on the attack.
Slowly approaching up towards this A-bomb with a minute left. Salt was able to at least gain that information that players were going to be towards that left side of lower lockers. Now it's only a matter of time before NYSL able to work this plant. The biggest eye that I'm keeping on track of is going to be on HyDra, because he's the player that's going to be setting up for that late planch. He's going to be the guy that's trying to make that individual play happen for NYSL. As the bomb is going to come down, you see 3 players from LAG wrapping back. Mack with some great shots, but that is where the 1v1 comes into play. Mental with the shot punch, able to make it a 2v2 situation as Asim finds him with 30 seconds left.
He surrounds the corner. That's going to be one, but Diamondcon's able to trade it out. As you called it, my friend, for a moment, it looked a little bit scary there for the Subliners. How that 1v1 on the opposite side went. Mental had some words. Look at the watch this one again. I literally said, what? Because it looked a little bit odd as soon as we swapped. I think we caught it like at the very, which granted, it wasn't a very long kill. My goodness, Asim just needs what? That was one, maybe a second bullet. I honestly couldn't tell you how many bullets he fired there.
That was one bullet.
One bullet is all he needed. HyDra with, I guess you could say, with the assist. Dazed Mental gets dropped, and from there, New York able to utilize the numbers. Not a round that you'd say, guys, cool, let's do that again, but you'll take it.
Definitely will, man. And back on the offense we go for this time, LAG. They're going to be a little quicker towards A, and you see Asim with the positioning that he has. He was able to spot a couple players, hit a couple wall bangs as well, to try to get him off that bomb plant, but it's going to come in. So it's going to be a 4v4 retake. All of NYSL trying to attack this through their side of the spawn. But Mental snuck his way in towards the train. He might be able to pick up a kill here, but HyDra's going to sniff him out. Now it's a man advantage in favor of New York.
It'd be somewhat frustrated if you're Mental, just constantly getting tagged up. One bullet, he gets silenced. One of the faster rounds we've seen from LAG, honestly, all season long. And they're going to continue to force New York to try to play this one out, but here comes aBeZy right around the corner. It's now into the 4 versus 2. Time's taken away. Can Assault stay alive? I don't know how he has escaped, but they're fully aware of his position, but they have to go for the defuse. There's 3 players alive. HyDra has to sacrifice his teammate, but it will be a defuse. That got incredibly dicey, Study. You had 3 players that were lined up. Assault, you could see his eyes were getting really, really big, but they're able to close it out and, oh my goodness, not allow for what could have been one of the craziest plays of the season to go down.
NYSL, they clutch up, man. A 4v4 retake, and that's exactly how they were able to execute it. The early first blood, and then everything after that just comes down to trades, man. If aBeZy had a teammate towards lower lockers, a potential trade comes in, and then there's multiple angles that NYSL have to look at. But they just slowly pick them apart, and this is where NYSL, at least based off of that map number 2, their aggression is what they have been able to see success with. And this time around, this is going to be another complete blind counter from NYSL. The bomb is going to be able to go down towards A, uncontested. Should be another 4v4 retake, this time for LAG.
Not comfortable with the bomb. I'm going to say not comfortable at all with the bomb placement, rather with the trophy placement. I'm slightly off, but he'll be able to get it. And right as HyDra rounds the corner, Assault's there to beam him down. So the first blood in for the Guerrillas is what you need, especially if you're looking for the retake. Keep in mind, Mental making his way on the flank. He's going to be able to catch out Diamondcon, so 2 players off the rip. Silence from the Subliners. That's going to be the 3rd. All onto Asim in a 1 versus 4, kind of a similar spot where we saw actually Assault moments ago, but he's gonna get found out. So as we mentioned, I mean, just this LAG team, I don't know what it is, but in these search and destroys, they just make at times retaking on defense, or rather just retaking in general, look so effortless.
Yeah, it definitely is effortless when HyDra is going to be over peaking when he didn't need to. Like, HyDra was in such a great position right here when Asim gets the bomb plant, but he tries to help out his teammate there and unfortunately walks right into the pre-aim of Assault. So then that puts them at a man disadvantage. And in the LAG, they capitalize on it. They play the trades perfectly. They set up the pinch, and they were able to walk away with the round. So now LAG finally get a round on the board. Back on the offense they go. Assault on a 3 spree. Last time NYSL, they had 4 players approach towards the slower B bomb, but this time around, they're going to have 3 players approaching towards A. So this might be a complete blind counter that LAG weren't expecting, but you see the information that they were able to pick up there. They're all going to hit towards that top catwalk and rotate this bomb towards B.
And speaking of blind, Asim not see a single thing. Same thing can be said for aBeZy now. They've done exactly what they need to. The job is done for LAG. Plant that bomb down. You have deserved it. You have totally sold New York. And an A plant is just a matter of moments being away. Great salesman at that for the Guerrillas. And what a play this could be from aBeZy. Rounding the corner, one player takes down HyDra. Can he find the second? How big could this be? As that will be the second one. aBeZy heating up 2 HP, and he will escape with his life. Takes down Diamondcon. Are we about to see the ace? Ace to the last man alive. And aBeZy, he is hunting for it, gets dropped. But his job is done. aBeZy playing huge. On the opposite side of the map, what a well-sold fake it was for the Guerrillas. And aBeZy all by himself, taking down 3 players, escapes with 2 HP, and puts the final bullet into Diamondcon. Just excellent plays once more from Father App.
He's having himself a series, man. He's not trying to go home on day one. He wants to make this tournament the best one of the year for his team. As they tie the game up 2 apiece. If I'm New York, the min-map adjustments have to come in. You cannot be giving up these free bombs. Like, that's 2 maps in a row. Where Moscow, they're giving up A, and then right here, they're giving up a free bomb plant once again. But this time around, the aggression is going to be here. There's going to be all players challenging towards this lower B side. LAG do have control of the bomb site, and this is where HyDra can definitely play huge. Oh! But unfortunately, he's going to lose the gunfight, and Mental finds 2, so now it's a 4v2 situation, making it 3v1, all left up to Mack. He finds 1, but the pinch is going to come in. He's going to get taken care of. And LAG, they match aggression with aggression. Mental going huge with the 2 kills on the round.
Yeah, and we'll have to look at this one again from Mental's perspective. So he takes the head off of Asim. And as we said at HyDra, he didn't shoot at Mental off the start. Actually, excuse me. He was trying to look for the player that rounded the corner. And he thought that fight was surely going to be his. Just excellent shot there coming in from Mental. And as you said, Stud, meaning aggression with aggression. That is 3 rounds in a row now for the Guerrilla side, and that is indicated based off Assault, who now sits at 5 in a row. Some streak potential as Mental quickly gets dropped off the start. Assault will now fire in his 6th kill in a row, so all things considered, while you do lose a player, at least the streak remains intact. As these last few rounds have been headbutts, put it lightly. Pace beginning to pick on up through the middle of this game. What a great round this could be for LAG, also on the attacking side. But take a look at where HyDra finds himself.
I know, this is the thing that NYSL need to try to work on. This is where HyDra is going to be in a position by himself. So if the engagements come in, there's going to be no trade there. But you see what LAG are starting to do. They're slowly starting to approach towards the speed bomb, and HyDra might have just found the opening. But Assault with that 7 kill, he's going to be able to pick up that artillery. Unfortunately, it's going to get traded. But now HyDra and Mack left in a 2v2 situation versus aBeZy and Cellium. The experience level between these 2 teams is 100% favored on LAG's side. As aBeZy is going to work this bomb plant. Able to spot Mack, and this is a huge one-on-one if aBeZy is able to win it. But he's going to drop it. Now it's all left up to Cellium, and he's just going to full send onto Mack. He knows that he's one shot, and he's able to make it a 1v1.
Cellium versus HyDra, round the stairs. Cellium just making sure that bomb side is going to be clear, but HyDra able to put in a few bullets. HyDra quickly hops on the defuse. It's all going to be a bait. Wanting to bring out the rookie. Cellium's going to have to throw a quick shoulder, but he's not able to win the fight. Cellium goes for the jump. The vet with the vertical leap avoids the shots, and what a round. What a closeout for Silly. Uncharacteristic for HyDra not to win the 1 versus 1. I couldn't even speak for a moment because I'm like, okay, surely he's going to just throw a shoulder, get out of there, but that's not the case. HyDra initiates the fight but loses it, and that will give the Guerrillas their 4th round in a row. And one thing to keep in mind as well, Stud, Assault, I believe, at the very end of his life in that last round, did ping the artillery. They're not going to have visuals with that streak.
Well, this is huge. That's a huge piece of information right there, because now you see NYSL. They know that they can't approach this A bomb, and they're going to just attack this B bomb right through the middle of the map. It's all left up to Assault, though. Now left in a 1v2 situation. Doesn't have that ping to work with, like you said, but he's found his way through this opening. He might be able to find a clutch here, but Asim and HyDra, they play it beautifully. New York are able to slow down that pressure. That was 4 rounds straight from LAG, but New York, they finally respond with the aggression that has been working out in their favor, at least in this game mode so far. Currently down 4-3 now.
Yeah, great work there from Asim and HyDra, but again, kind of on topic with that streak. Again, it was so close. It was HyDra who took down Assault, and it was like a split second. I don't know if he maybe even used that information to give it out to his teammates. He dropped so fast. And for those that are on YouTube, you can obviously feel free to rewind it and see. Whenever he died, it popped up that it would have been activated. I'm not sure if the game realizes that or not, but again, just something to keep in the back of your mind. As Asim now sitting on 4 in a row. Wants to make it 5. Aggression right now from Asim. As LAG, half the players, half of their squadron is going to be dropped already. That's now 5 in a row for Asim too. It's LAG repositioning and now making their way toward B. Position is going to be known as Asim did get that one out. Big fight to win, but it's traded out from Mack. All up to aBeZy.
Now, aBeZy in a 1v2. He knows that one position, at least from one player in Mack. But unfortunately, the other player from New York is going to come up right behind him, and New York are able to put 2 rounds together, tied this game up at 4-4. And it's all on the back of Asim right here with the early aggression in towards Train, able to find the first blood, and then eventually finds the second onto Silly in towards this top control room, which is the biggest play of the round right there. New York tied it up at 4 apiece. You got to keep in mind, though, they do not want to attack A. They do not want to have Assault use that artillery to try to break one of their setups here. Back on the offense there. Go. If I'm New York, I'm 4-hitting low B once again. Like, Mental's not going to 2-piece us again. It's not going to happen.
Well, I think that's what LAG thought as well. They'll send 3 strong. Diamondcon's going to fire out a few shots, but that is about it as those shots begin to echo throughout the ears of the Guerrillas. It is all the information that they'll be able to get for a while. So again, Assault calling these in. Again, thinking, believing that he's blind. Still call those out. Subliners regardless. All it is for them is just a matter of a delay. And right as they come around the corner, they would have liked for those ARs to at least find a first blood, but that's not going to come on in. So you see, based off of the arrows, Subliners watching each other's backs, watching every corner, but one player who is apart from the pack of the Guerrillas is going to be Silly. Player number 7, 30 seconds left. He's going to make a move, but aBeZy, alongside his SMG duo, actually shoots at the trophy. So he gets dropped. Now into the 2 versus 3. Silly got found out. So it's on to Mental and Assault. 17 seconds to work with, but it's Diamondcon from the top of the tracks. It's at least going to be able to issue out the call out. And with that, the Subliners answering back in a big way. It was LAG with 4 rounds in a row, and now it's New York sitting on 3 in a row.
And it's scary if you're LAG, because New York, that's exactly how they wanted that round to play out. Get Assault to use that artillery, and eventually we work the bomb plant and still be able to close it out. So now New York, they find themselves at game point. LAG back on the offense. Assault sitting at 11-6, chopsticks on the map, having himself a game. But you see what's happening on the mini-map. NYSL, they're thinking it's going to be a B push. But too bad. LAG are going to be trying to approach this towards A, and just keep in mind where this bomb is. This bomb is set up for that rotation. So as these 2 players from NYSL are rotating towards A, you're going to have at least a numbers advantage when you bring this bomb back towards B.
Both Teams just hunting for information. Guerrillas still debating. And no visuals today. It's really just a matter of time before that B push comes on in. And if they want to try to make a rotation, it's going to have to be quick. So as they come around the corner, Diamondcon is waiting for them. That's going to be the first. Asim quickly replying with the second. All on to Mental and Silly. A 2 versus 4 to keep their hopes alive. As Diamondcon, with a great movement, sets up a scene for success. As now it's all going to be on to Mental, and as he falls, it's going to be a W. Put it in the books. The New York Subliners are going to win this series. It came down to a game 5. It was hard fought, and it's well deserved. But it is the Subliners answering in a major way 4 rounds straight to claim this game 5.
And if you're New York, man, like, that one's got to feel good. To get it all the way to a game 5, obviously you weren't expecting to lose that map number 4, but to be able to clutch up for some of these guys' very first game on the main stage like Diamondcon, you got to be feeling really good, man. The momentum, obviously, it wasn't as clean as you wanted it to be, but you still get the job done. You're moving on to tomorrow. And then on the opposite side for LAG, that one kind of hurts, man. Finally, you're able to beat this team in a respawn, force it to a game 5. You're up 4-2. You have a streak to work with. But then NYSL to just flip the switch, man. The aggression is what really took over in that map number 5 for New York. And LAG, it's been a good season, but unfortunately it comes to an end.
Yeah, it comes to an end, and you know, we talked about, obviously it's a bitter close for these guys. And you and I had talked about it. I mean, I think it was during listening or whatever. I think it was on Apocalypse. You and I went back and forth, and it's like, hey, the execution at times, or I should say the setup is there. It's the execution that's been the problem for this LAG team. They know what to do. It's just been a matter of executing it properly. We talk about how difficult the CDL season is. When we talk about how many solid players there are in the league, if you are just a minor step behind everybody else, it could really start to set you back. And as you mentioned, LAG, their season will come to an end. On the other side for the Subliners, still some life for these guys. They clutch up in a big way. And as we said, kind of the leader for this team, not just in, but also out of the game now for Asim. He finishes off this game at 12-6, having a major performance, and for good reason. Takes over the later stages and helps kind of supply what was a much needed 4 rounds in a row to close out this game. Just a nutty series, some all around stuff. I mean, we talked about that Apocalypse, how crazy that was. We had some a number of different kind of weird moments, or fun moments kind of at the start of our first 3 as well.
Yeah.
Just overall a great series, a great way to start this one off.
Definitely is, man. Definitely is a great series, but let's just rewind back. Let's take a look at our scuff play of the game, which is going to be the very last round of that Search and Destroy. Obviously, if you're LAG, you wishing that you would have been a little bit more aggressive, because NYSL, this time they made those mid-map adjustments. They did not allow any openings to happen. When they thought that the pressure was coming in at A, they still had 2 players at this B bomb site to cause problems. As Diamondcon and Asim, they find 2. Then it's a 4v2 situation. You see both players from New York starting to rotate back. They know that they had the man advantage. They just have to play the trades effectively, and then it all comes down to Asim winning not 1, but 2 huge gunfights in that final round to close it out. New York are going to move on.
New York, they move forward as they will be facing off against the Mutineers tomorrow. Same thing for the Surge. They'll also be taking on the Royal Ravens. We wave goodbye to both the Guerrillas and the Legion, as that will be their final series of the entire year. Crazy to think that we're already at this stage. But folks, speaking of the stage, you get the opportunity to see it in person for the first time in such a long time. July 31st as well as August 1st. Tickets are still on sale at the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. We hope to see you there. It's going to be an absolute blast of a time. And of course, you can always rewind the link here on YouTube and make sure you get exactly where those ticket links are at. But folks, what a series. I don't know if all of us expected it to go to a game 5, but LAG gave it their all, but that was not enough here for the Subliners. The man that leads the way for this team, and Asim, is now joined alongside by Jess.
Lando, thank you so much. We are here with Asim for your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Asim, congrats on that dub. And I mean, welcome back to LAN. We missed you the last major. Of course, there were extenuating circumstances going on, but considering all that, how important was it to you to get this first win here?
I think it was super important. It was a little sloppy, but I think with a young team like us, just getting that first win and trying to make this lose run is really important. And I honestly didn't come into it expecting that we were just going to 3-0 smoke them, because I just think we need a little more experience, and I believe for sure.
And speaking of some of that experience, you've kind of stepped up into a leadership role, and how does that sort of change your approach to these matches?
I think it's put a lot more pressure onto me, and instead of like just performance and getting kills, like I need to step up in other aspects in the game. So I mean, I don't think you see a lot of entries SMGs like in the league step up to be that leadership role. I think it's just like me and Havoc on Florida. So playing him against tomorrow, like we'll see like how it goes. But I think I'm just really overwhelmed in a sense. But I'm stepping up to the occasion for sure.
Well, you say we'll see how it goes, but I mean, do you have any sort of plan versus the Mutineers tomorrow?
I think Florida's playstyle is very similar towards ours. We play very similar, like loose and fast. So I think it's going to come down to those SMGs and those ARs trying to get those kills, because I know it's like very generic and people say like the more kills you get, the more you win in Call of Duty. But I think with the way our playstyles work, whoever gets the most kills and whoever pushes up on the map will win the game. So I think it's going to be really important for us to step up in our gunfights.
Awesome. Well, beautifully said. Thank you so much for the interview. This has been your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Back on over to Lando at the desk.
Thank you so much, Jess. What I was repping at the start of the day said anything can happen. We get better match by match. But that's 1 down for the New York Subliners, and that's 2 down for us here at the Stage 5 Major. When we come back after the break, it is Lottie and Nameless breaking down our next 2 games.
Big Game 5 victory for NYSL there, and they proceed through the bracket. Epic stuff going up on that stage against LAG. And look, you know, LAG kind of out for the count when it comes to champs, but for NYSL, this is a big test. They're still testing the waters to see how they're doing as a team, obviously having to fully form themselves here without Clayster, but they do proceed on. 3-2, and it's going to be Mutineers that they're facing next. Now, I've got to say, I was really impressed with New York there for a couple of different reasons. First of all, Asim really stepping up into that leadership role. I thought it was really, really great what he was doing there. You can see him adjusting as well mid-game. You can see him talking to the lads. You can see him giving them a bit of a smile, bit of banter. But also for the end of the game there, Game 5, he saw what App was doing. He needed to step up. He had to play that role as a leader. He had to step up. He had to make some moves there in that final game, and he did just that, and I was really, really impressed with it overall. What were your thoughts about that series, Nameless, you know, especially from the side of LAG?
Yeah, you know, I think it'd be easy to sit here and be like, you know, New York played a sloppy series, but to be honest, LAG, they played incredible. That was the best Call of Duty they played in a very long time, and largely in part due to how App played. I just want to give a special shout out to him for playing his heart out in his last match, the aces that he got in search and